Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Shrine of Anubis. If you're new here, welcome, and if you have been here before, welcome back, and nice to see you again. So, for today's video, it's also going to be short, quote unquote, sweet and to the point. I know you can see the light from the microphone. I fixed it, I think. For today's video, I want to make you a very simple question with a very heavy and perhaps in-depth response. And that is, are you afraid of death? And you might be wondering, Z, police. Of course I do. I'm scared shitless. What are you talking about? But hear me out. Hear me out. The reason why I want to bring this up to you today, it's because I want to kind of follow up with last week's video of we're all gonna die. Which was not something I was expecting to talk about, but I figured, hey, why not? I think it's relevant to give a reminder that we're all gonna die. However, I was thinking about today's topic for the week, I would say, and I figured why not continue the conversation into a simple question that you can journal about as well. So take this as another journaling prompt that you can write down, type down wherever you want, and just take your time at some point to sit down with yourself, to contemplate and to consider and to express with yourself, which is, are you afraid of death? Now, the response might be very simple and straightforward, like, yes, I am. But why are you afraid of death? So, the question here being, are you afraid of death? But why are you afraid of death? So, when you give me that response, that quick response, I want you to elaborate more as to the why. And how did this thought or feeling originate from in the first place? Because many of us are afraid of death, but it's because of program patterns that have been installed into our human software that we call the brain. Question mark? Since a young age. And usually, typically, this is because of organized religion. Organized religion tends to demonize death. And you might be wondering, what does this have to do with Anubis, and why are you involving him and death and here and there? Like, what's going on? Anubis is not the god of death. He's the Lord of the dead before he was replaced by Osiris as the god of the underworld. However, if I'm not mistaken, in the original texts, Anubis way earlier on had that place, if I'm not mistaken again. Anubis is not the personification of death, and I believe neither is Osiris. I don't think Osiris is the embodiment of death, but again, I could be wrong. So I can't really talk about that aspect for this video because I don't have enough information about that part. Some cultures don't have a personification of death. They have representatives of death, which are not directly linked to death. So I digress. Going back to the main topic here of this video is, are you afraid of death? And why are you afraid of death? Now, this video will apply to some people. Some of you may not be afraid of death because you either had a near-death experience, or you were raised into this where death was normalized in your culture, or you grew up out of religion and now you have adapted into another form of thinking. So to some of you, this may not apply, but for those of you whom this may apply to, why are you afraid of death? After you answer me, are you afraid of death? So the next step for you to journal about is, why are you afraid of death? And the reason why I want you to get into this is because you have to start to deprogram again from these program patterns that have been installed into your system probably since a very young age. And don't you come to me with like, oh, I'm too old for this, or I've always thought this way, I don't think I can change. You are putting excuses for yourself. And a moment of silence because I don't know what else to say. But, and that also applies to myself too, because goddamn, I feel called out by my own self. Imagine that. So, the reason why I want you to answer the why part is because I want you to find where that fear came from. Because if we talk about death, death is something that will happen to anything, everything, everyone that exists in this reality that we live in. And even though I'm not the best at preparing people for death, I do want to try to help you help yourself to figure out, why are you afraid of death and what can you do about it? Well, journaling, for example, I am afraid of death because as a kid, death was seen with bad eyes in my family due to Catholicism. We are not supposed to die because we are immortal, because we are bathed in the blood of Jesus Christ. I don't know. I don't know what Christians are up to. I don't know. So this is not an accurate example or representation probably of what I'm trying to get at here. But all I know is that from my experience as a kid, death was demonized due to religion, Catholicism to be more specific. It was seen that it was just not the thing to happen. Because, Jesus Christ reviving, like resurrecting, actually, I'm thinking of video games. Oh my God. Resurrecting on the third day and then ascending, like defeating death, quote unquote. That whole section of the Bible, is that in the Bible? I've never read the Bible. I don't know. But it's that whole part that, damn, I was a very good Catholic as a kid. Anyways, on a serious note, it was that part that was so drilled into my head as a kid, that the resurrection of Jesus meant the defeat of death, something, mortality, whatever. So back in the day, I was afraid of death for that reason. Like, oh my God, death is going to take everything away from me and my family, and pain and suffering and misery, and I'll go to hell for sinning, even though I don't know what I did as a kid. I just came here into this planet and I don't know how to wipe my butt, and I'm going to hell, and I'm afraid of living my life. And that is where the program pattern is. The fear of death is linked with the fear of living. And the fear of living can come from various ways or paths, so to speak, to lead you to that fear. But in my experience, the fear of death, it's because in a sense I am afraid of living. And so my reason for being afraid of death is that I don't want to do anything in life because I am afraid to die. So because I am afraid to die, I don't want to do anything. Because that program pattern is there from childhood, from religion. And it's interesting how this has its own twists and turns, because you would never figure I am afraid of death because of religion. So because of this, I am afraid of doing something in my life that I am excited about because why bother? Because I'm going to die. So connecting last week's previous video of we're all going to die. So do the thing, even if it's imperfect. At the same time, you have to be careful not to use death as an excuse to go haywire on things that you want to do. And by this, I mean doing dangerous activities that can put your life at risk. Because some people may take it the wrong way, like, we're all going to die, it doesn't matter, let me do this. But this thing may actually pose a threat in your life. So I'm guessing it's common sense, basically, but it never hurts to set a reminder for people to be aware of, to take your precautions depending on the thing that you want to do. Like, how's it called in English? Bungee jumping or something like that. I have seen some accidents happen with that. So, or roller coasters and things like that. Although that's just unrelated. I don't even know. I don't even know why am I bringing this part up, but I feel that maybe one of you out there needs this as a reminder. Maybe one of you is just doing things that are very out there, very, very intense. You're putting yourself through a lot of adrenaline, and you should be very careful because you might have an accident. So I don't know who this message is for. Sometimes Anubis gives me messages and they don't make sense, but I have to say it because I never know who it might help out there. But going back to the topic of this video though, realizing why I was afraid of death was because I was afraid of losing everything and everyone that I love and being alone for the rest of my life. And usually the being alone part is because as a kid, I would be given the silent treatment, or I would get threats from my family. If you don't do this, I'm leaving you behind. And so because of that, plus religion on the other side telling me that we're all going to die and I'm not going to be with my family or anybody, it was a mix of abandonment. And because of this, I became so fearful of death that it led me to the point of being afraid of living. Why am I going to do this? Why bother? I won't have them by my side. They will die. I will die. None of us will be together. Like, this whole thing from my childhood, I still keep dragging it on and on with me. And religion is a big on abandonment issues and making you feel like shit. At least that has been my experience as a kid with Catholicism. And that is something that I am slowly unveiling, I guess, and discovering in order to start to work on it. Because Anubis loves to help you to introspect, to think within, like, well, not think within, but go within and think and contemplate and consider and analyze. He's like that energy of Mercury retrograde, so to speak. As you know, Mercury retrograde is when the planet is perceived to go in reverse. Whether it's literal or not, I don't think the planet literally goes in reverse. But I don't know science, so I don't know. When Mercury is on retrograde, it's an energetically charged time for you to not do something or get started with something, but rather to go within and to think and to ponder and consider, revisit, redo, recharge, and recalibrate your system, so to speak. So that once Mercury goes direct, if you believe in astrology, you can bloom forth into your journey of continuation or starting something new. Usually, Mercury on retrograde hints you to complete something or to continue something that you already started. So you might take advantage of that to finish something. But to start something, usually it's a good thing to wait, especially when finances are involved. But I'm no astrology expert though, but Anubis gives me those vibes slightly sometimes when it comes to pondering, thinking, reconsidering, revisiting, analyzing before acting. So he can throw some curveballs my way for me to see some things that I don't want to see. So you might feel uncomfortable as well if you're a devotee of his or another deity that might be making you look within yourself to find some things that you may not be too much of a fan of, but it's okay. Because help is on your side and they are on your side and they will help you through it. So, are you afraid of death? And if so, why are you afraid of death? In my case, it's because I'm traumatized. So when I dive in deeper, I find, okay, I'm afraid of death because of religion and abandonment issues and my family leaving me behind and the literal scripture saying that, death is this and that. We're not going to be together. Some people are going to hell. Some people are going to heaven. This whole separation and abandoning thing from religion and partially my family when I was a kid, it has really fucked me over. So I'm learning now what is the cause behind my fear of death so that I can hopefully transmute that and start to lose the fear of death because I never know when I will die. And I know this sounds so dark and gruesome, but to be honest, that is life. Death is a painful truth and life is a beautiful lie, I guess. And some people prefer a beautiful lie, to be honest. And I'm trying to face that difficult truth, that reality, so to speak. And I'm not calling Anubis ugly or any death deity ugly at all. Any representation of death, I'm not calling you ugly at all whatsoever. But it is a painful truth. And it is something that I have been having on the back of my mind forever since I was a kid. But I never really wanted to acknowledge it or never really knew how until now. Almost 11 years later of working with Anubis. So this is why I say that it's never late for something. To learn something, to deprogram for something, to change your mindset or your lifestyle or something, it's never too late. You are your own limit. Well, okay, maybe your finances too, but speaking about the mindset, usually you are your own limit. So with that said, I'm going to let you go now. Let me know down below in the comment section if you feel comfortable talking publicly about this. Are you afraid of death? And if so, why are you afraid of death? Do you have any ideas that spark up right now at this moment? Or do you need a little bit of time to think about it, write about it in order to get a clearer idea of what could be the costs? And what do you plan on doing to deprogram from this program pattern that you have within yourself if this is an issue for you, being afraid of death? So let me know down below in the comment section as always. And with that said, before I let you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. click on the bell button and click on see all so that you can get all the notifications of any future uploads that I'll be making on this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.